On the procession are eminent professors here at Covenant University, our acting heads of departments, and our directors of strategic units here at Covenant University. I can see the deans of our colleges, the Dean of College of Science and Technology, the Dean of College of Management and Social Sciences, the Dean of College of Leadership and Development Studies, the Dean School of Postgraduate Studies, our chaplain here at Covenant University, Acting Dean of Student Affairs, Director of Financial Services, Director Center for Learning Resources, the Registrar of Covenant University, the Deputy Vice Chancellor here at Covenant University, and the Vice Chancellor of Covenant University. Congratulations to Covenant University. Thank you so much, Covenant University Band. In our standing positions, I have the honor to invite the chaplain of Covenant University, Pastor Judah Ola, to open us in prayers. Please, can we put our hands together for him?
Hallelujah. Please let's bow our heads in honor of Jesus as we pray. Our Father, again, we are grateful. Thank you for making this day a reality. We give you all of the glory and all of the praise. And as we proceed this afternoon, we commit the entire event into thy hands. We ask, Holy Spirit, that you take absolute control and let all that we do bring you glory and bring you praise. In Jesus' precious name we have prayed. Praise the Lord.
Thank you, sir. Still in our standing positions, please. The Covenant University Band shall lead us in the national anthem and Covenant University anthem. In that order, please. Thank you very much. Please, may we sit comfortably. For those of us that are walking in, please walk in quietly and be seated in the auditorium. The Vice Chancellor, sir, it's my singular honor and privilege this afternoon to welcome us to the 31st inaugural lecture of Covenant University. The inaugural lecture for this afternoon has been well titled, Setting the Hurdle for Glorification, the cross-coded structural pathways to spring up nutrients in foods for sustained commonwealth. The inaugural lecturer will be properly introduced in due course. Permit me, therefore, to respectfully establish the protocol for this very important event. The Chancellor and Chairman, Board of Regents, Covenant University, Dr. David O. Oyedepo, the Vice President, Education, Living Faith Church Worldwide, Pastor Mrs. Faith Oyedepo, esteemed members of the Board of Regents here present, the Vice Chancellor, Professor Abiodun H. Adebayo, the Registrar, Mrs. Regina Toby David, other principal officers of the university, deans of colleges and School of Postgraduate Studies, the inaugural lecturer, members of the University Senate, faculty and staff, distinguished guests, kings and queens in Hebron, members of the press, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, welcome again. Please, can you put your hands together for yourselves? Congratulations, Covenant University. May I respectfully invite to the podium the Registrar of Covenant University to introduce the key officers of the university.
Thank you. The Chancellor and Chairman Board of Regents of Covenant University, Dr. David Oyedepo, the Vice Chancellor. It is with great honor and privilege I welcome us all to this 31st inaugural lecture. Permit me at this point to introduce members of the high table. From my left, we have the Chaplain of Covenant University, Pastor Ola Judah. Our hands together, please. Thank you. Seated next to him is the Acting Dean of Student Affairs, Mrs. Shola Koka. Our hands together, please. Thank you. And next to her is the Director of Financial Services, Pastor Bolu Joko. Thank you. Seated next to him is the Director of our Center for Learning Resources, Dr. Ada Peter. Thank you. I'll come to this side of the table. By my right-hand side, we have the Acting Dean of the College of Leadership and Development Study, Dr. Jonathan Odukoya. The Dean of the College of Management and Social Sciences, Professor Wolu. Next to him is the Dean of the College of Science and Technology, Professor Timothy Anake. And next to him is the Dean of the College of Engineering, Professor David Olukoni. And next to him is the Dean of the School of Postgraduate Studies, Professor Akan Williams. And next to him is the Deputy Vice Chancellor of Covenant University, Professor Olujide Adekeye. And seated at the helms of affairs of this our great citadel of learning is our amiable Vice Chancellor, Professor Abiodun H. Adebayo. It's on this note, I welcome us all to the 31st inaugural lecture of Covenant University. Congratulations and welcome.
Thank you so much. The Registrar of Covenant University, please, can we one more time put our hands together for her? Let me apologize for a breach of protocol, please. I want to respectfully recognize the Deputy Vice Chancellor of Covenant University, Professor Olujide Adekeye. You are welcome, sir. Sorry about that. May I respectfully invite the Vice Chancellor of Covenant University to bring us his welcome remarks. The
VC, sir. Thank you so very much. The Chancellor and Chairman Board of Regents, Covenant University, Dr. David O. Oyedepo. I want to also recognize eminent personalities here present, the principal officers of Covenant University, the Deputy Vice Chancellor, the Registrar, all our Senate members and the heads of department, directors, and our guests, the Royal Highnesses here present. And of course, let me observe the already established protocols and to welcome every one of us here today to the 31st in a series of inaugural lecture titled Setting the Hurdle for Glorification, the Cross-Coded Structural Pathways to Spring Up Nutrients in Food for Sustained Commonwealth. We are delighted to present another topical lecture that addresses a fundamental aspect of our human existence. This 31st inaugural lecture is very critical and timely, coming on the heels of the recent report released by the United Nations on the state of food security and nutrition in the world in 2023, which shows that 2.4 billion people, comprising more women and rural dwellers, had no access to nutrition, safe and sufficient food all year round as at 2022. Also, an estimated figure of 148.1 million children under 5 years of age, representing 22.3%, were stunted, while 45 million of them, representing 6.8%, were wasted, that is, having insufficient weight for their height. And another 37 million, representing 5.6%, were overweight due to poor nutrition. Also, the current state of hunger, food insecurity, and malnutrition in Nigeria, earlier predicted by the United Nations World Food Program and Food and Agricultural Organization, FAO, has impacted more than the projected 25 million people, as the entire nation is currently grappling with the acute hunger and nutritional deficiency due to incessant disruption of production, that is food production and distribution chain, arising from armed banditry, relentless waves of attacks against herders and farmers by armed groups, high cost of transportation and energy, and poor economic policies of the government. As the government and other stakeholders continue to deliberate and work towards dismantling these negative drivers and boosting the quantity of food supply, access to quality and healthy food with necessary nutritional values becomes even more imperative. It is also important to note that the healthy food is vital to healthy living and growth and development, and protects human against all forms of malnutrition. It's often said that a hungry man is an angry man. Now, it will also interest us to note that it has also been proven that some of the deadly non-communicable diseases, such as cancer, heart disease, diabetes, among others, can be reduced with proper access to dietary nutrients, especially food rich in micronutrients. According to the World Health Organization, These non-communicable diseases will be more prevalent in developing countries, such as Nigeria, where 82% of early deaths occur as a result of these diseases. Consequently, addressing the issue of poor nutrient intake will save lives, keep our children healthy, that is, mentally and physically robust, and significantly boost our country's and world's economic development. It is indeed an expedient hurdle we must leap by engaging multi-dimensional approaches, including strategic collaboration between the academia and all other stakeholders in the food chain. And therefore, I have no doubt that today's inaugural lecturer, an accomplished academic hurdler, will lead the way in charting groundbreaking scientific pathways to spring up nutrients in food for sustained national and global healthy growth and development. As a leading world-class university center of knowledge and innovation, Covenant remains sensitive and committed to espousing viable solutions towards our national aspiration for all-round transformation and better quality of life. We are also open to research collaboration within the country and outside the country. And my remark will not close without congratulating the inaugural lecturer of today, Professor Israel S. Afolabi, for this milestone in his academic journey. I enjoin you all to engage and propagate this discourse that will bring the desired innovation, practices, policy changes to reality. Thank you so much all for coming, and God bless you.
One more time, please, can we appreciate the Vice Chancellor of Covenant University? Please make it louder. To God be the glory. Thank you so much. I would like to kindly invite Dr. Oluwakemi Rotimi to read the citation of the inaugural lecturer. Dr. Rotimi, please. Please, can we appreciate her?
The Chancellor, sir, permit me to ask the lecturer of today to please stand and remain standing while I read his citation. Professor Israel SUNMOLA AFOLABI was born in Zaria, Kaduna State, Nigeria, on the 20th of September 1971. He is of Kogi State by origin, and he completed his primary education at St. Barnabas Primary School, Ilorin, and his secondary education at Government Secondary School, Ilorin, in 1983 and 1988, respectively. He obtained his bachelor's, master's, and doctorate degrees from the University of Ilorin, Kwara State in 1994, 2002, and 2008, respectively. He also received his postgraduate diploma in computer science in 2002 from the same university, and also bagged an executive diploma in marketing from the University of Lagos in 1995. He is married with 5 children. He is a professor of nutritional biochemistry and phytomedicine with a great passion for cutting-edge research focused on solving challenges that directly impact the quality of life and health of humanity. His research focuses on food quality, spoilage preservation, and harnessing the nutrients and health benefits of underutilized bioresources to improve human health. One of his research projects revolutionized the use of cassava starch, previously neglected for other starches in the industry. Professor Afolabi is a fellow of the United Nations University, and over 90% of his published articles communicate a global order of novel findings. CIVA has ranked his global scholarly output within the 92nd and 99th percentiles in the area of edible packaging for preservation, aflatoxin B1 detoxification, uterine neoplasm, and sorghum for malting technology development during the period of 2018 and 2024. He also received similar rankings from the Frontiers Group. Professor Afolabi has published several articles in reputable local and international journals by best-rated publishers. He was the late Dr. J.T. Ekanem Memorial Lecturer at the Conference of the Experimental Biology of Nigeria in 2023. He was honored with the 2012 International Academics Award for Excellence by the African Age International Magazine for driving quality education. He has also served as guest associate editor for Frontiers in Nutrition and also a reviewer for numerous journals. By publishers like Elsevier, Taylor and Francis, to mention a few. He has also served as an external examiner for universities within and outside his country. He was among the scientists the Times Higher Education invited to rank global universities in 2014, 2015, and 2023. He is one of the official nominators for the Vin Future $3 million annual grand prize award for the Vin Future Foundation, Vietnam. He is currently a member of the Kogi State appointed Distinguished Professors Constituted Committee, which is now the Provisional Council that superintended the successful takeoff of the newly approved Kogi State University, Kaba. He was the head of department. He was the head of biochemistry department between 2021 and 2023, and that of biological sciences department, which consisted of biochemistry and biological sciences then, between October 2012 and 2014, both at Covenant University. Ladies and gentlemen, please rise, put your hands together as we welcome the inaugural lecturer of the day, Professor Israel SUNMOLA Afolabi.
Be seated. God bless you. The Chancellor, ably represented by the Vice Chancellor of Covenant University, please permit me to stand on already established protocol. I do not take it for granted. I'm grateful to God to present this 31st inaugural lecture of Covenant University titled Setting the Hurdle for Glorification, the cross-coded structural pathway to spring up nutrient in foods for sustained commonwealth. I want to start with the first segment of the top title, Setting the Hurdle. Hurdle is literally meant to prevent someone from progressing. But the outcome depends on how one confronts that hurdles. And that summarizes my career in biochemistry up to today. From that picture there is what I just used to narrate my career. As stated in Director Prophet Ezekiel, who was asked to lie down. I discovered it as a young boy, sidewise for 360 days. And then after 360 days, he said he should turn to the other side. for another 360 days. My impression when I read that scripture was that, so it's not easy to serve God. But if you face it, it will lead to glorification. And that's why I'm standing before you to present this wonderful inaugural lecture. Today, I'm proud to give that lecture. The Chancellor, sir, the following are few hurdles presented to me at certain critical stages of my life, as documented in the booklet, but I will just emphasize one of it, and that's what was highlighted there, as stated by my father, my parent. They are well seated here. I was told that at birth, you know, when stars are given birth to, I liken it as directed by the life of Jesus Christ and Moses. Usually there's war that will stir up in an attempt to consume that child, not to survive. That is the kind of how my life I was faced at birth. When I was given birth to, there was a tribal war in Zaria. And according to how I was told the story, he said he left everything, his property, rank, everything, saved me, took his wife and one of my uncle and ran back to the south. He came back to start his career down in the south. What a love I experienced from my parents. So that is how it is. Hurdles come, I confront it, and then I scale it, and then that leads to glorification upon glorification. All others are stated there. I want to commence now in my area about nutrition. God's mind, what was revealed to me through my experience, God's mind, God code his mind in nature. And every time I study nature, I see the mind of God and obtain wisdom. That's why I'm so glad and so happy to be a biochemist. I'm so proud to be a biochemist. Some of the few nature I was able to come across are, number one, coding. There's revelation in food. I won't dwell much. When you eat, you start seeing revelation in some cases, if you are careful and meticulous. A good example is Jesus Christ taking communion. Communion is food. And after taking communion, his eye opened and saw the enemy within the house that will betray him. If you recall that very, very well, that was revelation. And people also eat food like that and see revelation. I won't like to go to the other side. So you can be positive, can be negative. Like those who drink beer and start speaking heresy. Sometimes I've met one that was speaking correctly. So that is revelation. There is a food course for memory, so that you have memorable messages. There's one that I was linked to at Ilorin, Mafarosere bread. Daddy doesn't know this story. When going to school, my pocket money, I would run somewhere and buy bread. The name of that bread is Mafarosere. In Yoruba, the English meaning is don't play with your money. Up to today, that food is still speaking to me and reminding me to wake up. Latest 5, I'm already wake up. Routinely. There is longevity coded in food. I want to say that I'm privileged to be rooted in my lineage, longevity. My grandpa died of recently at the age of 130 years. That is my root. And it's coded in food. It's the way you handle it that your life is going to, life will present itself to you. Now, longevity. Of recent, myself and my student were embarked on certain study, and we compiled the names, the disease associated with aged people, because after teaching them, we were inspired to do that. And we now discover, after looking at some, most of them are linked to micronutrient deficiency. They are stated in that table 1. After we identified it, we tabulated it. We now went further to go and look for the kind of food that can supply all those micronutrients. And as a result, we are recommending that for aged people. It depends on, aging presents itself in different ways. If you can locate where you belong, please, those foods are recommended for the society. The fourth one is there is coding for the ability to fight diseases. Whenever I remember this, resveratrol, one of the most powerful antioxidant compounds. In fact, it's the most powerful now. By my experience, one has been discovered, but it's not yet stable in light. Human has to go deep down the ocean, several miles downward, where there was no light to get that plant. And after characterizing it, they were able to get that bioactive that will outperform resveratrol. And that's a likely agent to increase or to help us to stay healthy. And with this knowledge, science had to look for other sources, because it's in grape, as shown in that picture. Other sources. Every part of the world try to which kind of plant can survive, that can service that bioactive, so that their citizens will benefit. We joined that, that's the structure in figure 2 of that compound. My team joined that effort, and we are so lucky, fortunate to get resveratrol from the plant called Ipomea involucrata. Those of us that live here have traveled around. You always see it. But unfortunately, it has no relevance. Sometimes I see tractors moving and be tracking it away. This is good that this person is tracking away. But that's because we don't know the value. I brought the value down before you today. And that is the plant all over. Now, others that have been associated as documented to have resveratrol. One of the notable ones that is abundant in our nation is groundnut. So I'm recommending it for you if you want that bioactive. Now, the next stage is, as I once stated earlier, that nature inhabit or keep the mind of God. This is my illustration. If you go to a wall earlier heated by a man, you can know whether that heating was friendly or violently. And that's because you will see the force on that wall. Every story of recreation, if you check nature, you will see the mind of God with respect to that. That's the privilege we have to see as biochemists. And I look for appropriate scripture that will back that. Psalm 19, 1-4. You will see it documented there. I will not waste time on that. But those food from those nature have their limitation and they have their strength. It depends on which side of the coin that we want the person desired. Now, I will want to look at the negative side of it and how we can overcome. That's the need to complement such inadequacy by fortifying food with nutrient that was deficient in those food. I would like to document some of the effort. I want, in this case, I always appreciate Dr. Ngozi, Dr. Akuli, late Dr. Akuli. because it was when it was DG that this became prominent, and I was enlightened as a young boy seeing it. And Nigeria has gone through iron fortification. When you see that program in Bible, it's showing a sign of certain weakness in a community. It's a community strategy it's a strategy that we use to fight a community-based disease. We've gone through zinc fortification, folic acid fortification, iodine fortification, and vitamin A fortification. Now, in the olden days, if you cut cassava, it will look whitish. But now when you cut it, it looks reddish. That's because it has been coached to biosynthesize vitamin A in order to service the community. I appreciate National Biotechnology Research Institute and IITA collaboration in this line. I witnessed it live while I was in government. African major staple food are root and tubers. And our strength and weaknesses is as reflected in that food, in that nature of food. These root and tubers, they have their strength. We appreciate it. That's why we have serious stamina. Africa is never known to be lazy. But from my study, that was my PhD study, I discovered that they are deficient in iodine. And looking at some community, including mine, that yams are abundant, and because of that, we love eating pounded yam so much. We can eat pounded yam in the morning, yam in the afternoon, and mola. Then sometimes we now prepare a soup, even with yam. Whenever I'm competing with my Ekiti colleagues, I say, no, you can't, you are not better. Oh yeah, let's start. When I get to that, using yam to prepare soup and use it to eat pounded yam, then they bow. They know that, yeah, we are superior in that line. But while growing, I was fortunate to be taken home and live with my grandmother. While growing, I saw so many elderly women with goiter. And after I became enlightened, knowledgeable in nutrition, I discovered it was as a result of that frequent eating of that tubers. The strength will be embedded in us, but the weakness will also be revealed. But thank God for that program of iodine fortification. If you go to my hometown, I've traveled a lot, and I study elderly people. It has been wiped out with time. I want to appreciate our government for this effort, especially the nutritionists in this direction. Now I move on. As a result of my experience, I put on a concept, nutritional concept, which is illustrated in figure 1. And you will see that nutrition, food, nutrition touch every aspect of our life. Our life speaks to the environment. The environment speaks to us, and how they also interact with our gene. And eventually, that is the outcome of putting down my experience together into a table. And as I mentioned earlier, behavior. The kind of nature of food that we take also depicts the kind of behavior that we also practice. For example, I normally use this in class. If you go to Lekki or Banana Island, and you happen to be at a bus stop, and you mistakenly step on someone, all you will hear is, ouch! Oh, never mind. Go on with your life. But if you do the same thing at Ajegunle, I almost want to demonstrate that. The cloth is already somewhere, knife, cutlass, just because of matching. And I look into the nature of their nutrient. In one area, they are well fortified, well bred with good nutrient. In another area, they are starved with nutrient. Then they became violent. I'm going somewhere because my recommendation for this inaugural lecture is from this concept, where government can capitalize on it and turn our country into something of substance. We will talk about that later. There is so much to talk, I won't waste my time. That concept, I draw it from irritability. When everybody is sick, you see that sometimes you hate your environment. You are irritated, leave me alone. Sometimes you even go to the extent of even hating your body. I've gone through that before. When I was attacked with chicken pox, God gave me the ability and I saw my inner body. I saw everything, source within the body. And thank God for deliverance, I was able to overcome. Now, we are getting to food, which is my area, my core area now. My contribution to global food security. I love the statistics given by the Vice Chancellor in his introductory remark. Over 200 million tons of grains, I encountered this during my PhD, are being wasted. And if you go further, that same 200 million tons of grain that is being wasted can feed 500 million people annually. Then wisdom says, wisdom said that it is better to save that rather than pursuing anyone. So then how do we save them? This prompted me into my research as a young boy, and I took interest more in food security. So we should channel more effort to reduce our waste rather than getting it thrown away and pursuing another one. And then complement the current so that we can use it to complement our current effort in food production. Then probably there will be no more fight on food. The citizen fighting government, government struggling with the community. So now, the next stage of it is that I noticed the ease of drying various crops. I'm still at my elementary level. I worked under several scientists. And we discovered that it's difficult to dry this. Why this one dried within 3 hours? Another one in days, you are still drying. I still have one in my lab there. What is causing this? So we went on to do a research. And at the end of it, we found out that it is a crude fiber component and the ash that has, their bond is interacted with moisture that was supposed to migrate away during the drying and resisting it and slowing down the drying process. We publish it, and I want to appreciate God for that. But to my surprise is that it is 80% of the citation I got from that article were from engineers. It benefits engineers more than even my field, myself. Table 3 to 4 indicates the level of, that's leading to my next major contribution. And we discover as we're about to embark on that project, we try to compare notes, and we discover that is the production level in India and Nigeria. And I needed that statistics to fire on. India was ready, so I was mandated to get the statistics from my own country. Very, very difficult to get. At the end, I was able to come up with that table. We see a lot of it, data not available, data not available. Oh, as a young boy, I felt, oh, that's a sign that we are careless of a careless attitude. And I wish to draw that we need to improve in that area so that people can get data to plan the present and then in the future. Thank God it didn't fail my own attempt. But look at orange there. That's the research I was trying to preserve then. And orange, India has 3.3 million tons for that year, 2001. Nigeria had none. But you all know that we have abundant oranges in Nigeria, even during the time of glut. Sometimes a young boy in hometown, when I was growing, myself and my uncle would stand on that tree. We can finish like 5 to 8 oranges together while joking and cracking. So there's need to be serious. And then prevent wastages of those orange. That was the task we took on then. And in one of that efforts, I've stated it that the Right Commission, the Right Institute, is Federal Office of Statistics and Nigeria National Planning Commission. I think I will challenge them in that area to do more so that we can be better off. Now, the next task was when the Nigerian government, I was still working for the federal government then, and specifically President Olusegun Obasanjo tasked, they want to know the storage capacity of the whole country so that we can know how to move forward. As then Nigeria is planning to diversify from petroleum-based economy into agro-based driven economy. And my task was to cover the northern states, specifically 5 states. Gombe State is one, Bauchi, Kaduna. That was the first time in my life after they carried me and escaped me from war that I was able to use my leg to march Zaria. Because every local government of those 5 states we touch, and we'll never forget that experience. And we discovered that Gombe State has 54,050 metric tons capacity. The others were not published. That's why I didn't talk about it. I left before the publication was out. It's out. Now, that includes the federal government structure put in place. And this is where I'm going to. That silo that you see there, that was the first time I'll be having experience one-on-one with it. And Gombe State, we discovered I store maize, cotton, sorghum, and millet. That's a sign of their major production in that state. And they use that silos to preserve it, and eventually also the fertilizer that we use to grow it when it is time. That was our finding. And that figure 4, I will talk about it later. There's a policy. We discovered that the federal government has a policy called Strategic Grains Reserve Program of Nigeria. And that policy, I was so impressed. With that silos, I looked like an ant before Goliath when we were standing beside it. And like most of Nigerians, will criticize government. I also, since that day, I stopped criticizing my government, because anybody that plans food well loves his or her citizen. And that policy was, with that silos, that we store grains for 7 years to prepare against famine. And after 7 years, if there's none, the policy mandates them to now release that to the community. Then they take fresh one for another journey of 7 years. That is how Nigeria is doing it, and making sure that famine did not consume us. I was so impressed, specifically because the biblical saying, Proverbs 3:5, said where God was directing us as humans to go and learn from the ant and obtain wisdom. So I see wisdom exhibited by our government, and I appreciate that, and I commend our leaders for that. I will jump causes of food wastages, because you need to know so that we can, but I will emphasize too, here in this part of the world, we experience a lot of wastages. That is because of our high ambient temperature. And then this seasonal glut that I've earlier mentioned. But there are others, as stated there, I'm being timed. And but I know my students will enjoy it better in class. Now, typical handling post-harvest crops in Nigeria, we also put it together, and we now discover, as indicated in figure 5, that Nigeria is not implementing adequate storage, cold chains properly. I don't see why, because my first job in life was a manager of a fishing company, and I know we do that a lot in food. Why not translate that easily to where we need it to preserve other food crops? So we went ahead, and why before the story, we now came up with this table 5. Finally, join me in table 5. And orange was our target to represent other agro crops. And that's typical silos I told you is an example of controlled atmosphere storage. Before you can build it, it's millions of dollars. Very, very, very capital intensive. And I want to make you to note that 12 months, if you use controlled atmosphere storage, 12 weeks, that's 4 months. You can store orange maximum with controlled atmosphere storage. You will see I'm taking you through how I use something you can use 3,000 naira to outperform that capacity. And that is my major attribute. I thank God for that. So during the discovery, that discovery takes 3 phases. Phase 1, the discovery here in Nigeria. Unfortunately, I got a fellowship. United Nations University took interest in it and mandated me to develop it to industrial level. That part, they moved me to one of the best food research institutes in the world. That's number 2 as at that time. Exposed to all kinds of equipment, and they challenged me to do it within 10 months. Open check, spend any amount. I'm so privileged to have that kind of opportunity. So we started with Bemo wax. After we do that, that's the name of the technology. We started with beeswax, paraffin wax, and starch. And when we did the study, we saw that. And then the next challenge was to now move it to the industrialization level. That I completed over there. Now I came back to Nigeria to now optimize it for sweet oranges. That sweet oranges, by the time we completed our assignment, we were able to get 4 months without loss of aesthetic value. That means all the sensory attributes that human is expected from that food. Nothing was lost. All other coatings ever recorded in the world then, they can get close to that, but they always come out with one side effect or the other. This one was like the rod of Moses that outperformed all the others. I moved on to the next stage, and that's the industrialization stage. Please take me to that cup that was there so that you see what took us. For 10 months, I was day and night. I was only sleeping 4 hours to overcome that hurdle. That cup, there's a cup there, but everybody doesn't need to see. When you get to that cup, stop. And the cup consists of oil and water. You all know that it is immiscible. They don't mix together. If you shake it, they are going to separate. Now, before we can achieve that, we now have to be confronted with the task to first of all turn it into one phase so that we can apply it to orange in order to achieve our aim. As at that time, there was no record how to take it into one phase. I was the first using that during that program to come to achieve that. You will see the emotion later and well characterized. I thank God for that. So it is now in one phase, and then from there we now proceed to apply it into orange to achieve our next target. When we assess it over there, India, they are very, very brilliant. And they are very, very proud with that. When they feel somebody beat them, they are almost downcast. I don't want to use a word. And at the point, at the first phase of that, as my experience, I did the crew. They gave me 5 months of the 10 months to practice it the way I did it. And it was compared to their own Wazo. Since 1972, they have been using it for exportation. But now we run it side by side. It was comparable. Then that shows that it's promising. They now challenge me to now go further, to now do the industrialization task. By the time we completed, it beat India commercial Wazo. Preserving oranges for 4 months with no sensory loss. And that's it's a sign that it can spoil our exportation of orange. As at then, there was no record, like I told you earlier on, but now that we can export it to other countries, it will generate interest. You will see other similar area that were able to trigger up that and it's poor production upward. That's figure 6. That was the orange that was stored for 4 months, although in combination with low temperature storage. Now, the true story is that after we completed that, that was for academic. We now left it. I faced another assignment. I came back, even after removing from low temperature storage. 8 months after, I still drank that orange. And no. So that's a sign that Nigeria has a capacity to store our orange for 8 months, which is quite Herculean task that was accomplished. So that is one of my major contributions to science. And permit me to leave that. I will show you, try to show you some of the other advantage that presented by that effort. But I'm being timed, and that is the emotion as a result. That's figure 7. So that was how oil. In fact, the task was much more difficult using oil because wax is more difficult because wax is solid at ambient temperature. We have to first of all melt it down to liquid and prevent it to return back to its normal solid state before we were able to now stabilize it into that one phase. By the time we did study and this shelf life study of that, it was able to stay maximum 1 year without separating. That is a good a Herculean task. I will tell you the benefit of that as we go on later, because that effort now released the potential of cassava. I will just move straight to that. As at that time, cassava was like a taboo. We that were living now in town, if we go to our hometown, my grandmother, you people, you have come with your gari. Okay, you people will eat it. They will not join us to eat it in those days. And also, likewise, every other place. But thank God, gari picked up late in the 90s. Everybody accepted it. And as a result, our effort now show that it's an eye-opener to the industry. That cassava cannot stew. That's the area I'm going to. Cassava was not used at all. The only record was that it was used as to starch clothes. As at that time, industries were not using. They prefer cornstarch, wheat starch, and others. And eventually, after the whole thing, the interest in cassava starch pick up because of certain advantage. Number one, it is more resistant to microbial infestation. And then, but the limitation was that solubility, which we have solved. Now, I'm moving the chancellor, sir. This outstanding accomplishment led to my conferment with the rarely awarded fellow of the United Nations University. Even before obtaining my PhD, my doctoral degree. That was when, usually fellows follow after professor. My own case was before I got PhD. Because of that performance. My time is already beside me, so I move forward. So we now went further. I acknowledged my supervisor during that PhD, so I came back to Nigeria. Okay, since you have done this, I challenge you for sweet potato. Sweet potato is much more highly perishable than orange. And then we started that task as a PhD. At the end of it, time will not permit me, at the ambient temperature, the BEMU was at ambient gave us 4 days. We used another technology, calcium chloride dip, which we adapted from the technique of preserving fruit and vegetable into sweet potato. That one gave us 20 days at ambient. Now, in combination of the two, gave us 8 to 20 days. Now, you can see cassava, the wax, the BEMU wax was a bit less. When we now went went further to study it at low temperature storage. The BMOAS gave us 10 weeks. That means we can store store sweet potato now for 10 weeks. If you combine it, there was no record except you people that goes to farm, privileged to go to farm, you see farmers leaving them. Even when you buy, you now see that you are taking only fiber. It's because it has been left too long in the ground and now became fibrous. But the best one is when it is still tenderly and soft, you eat it. So with that, we can now, our farmer can now go leave that attitude and now start preserving sweet potato. So I want to move forward. The Chancellor, sir, once again, the success of this research effort attracted recognition by Dr. Mojisola A. Adeshida, the then Executive Director of Nigerian Stock Product Research Institute, in a national daily, well documented, as stated in the references. So I move on further. As a result of that, I took interest and came to visit us. They gave us grant to look at how I invited Professor Sani, now Professor Sani. I hope he's around now. He's now the Director General of, Executive Director of Nigerian Stock Product Research Institute. We have been working for long. So he was the one that mobilized that grant to come to my office because of my effort. But the challenge was that now you have done it for orange, you have done it for sweet potato, but cassava, we are the major producer in the world, which is also more highly perishable than sweet potato. We challenge you to use that to do it. But unfortunately, cassava cannot preserve cassava. So we didn't get Ultima, and that stopped there. But that gives us more information that emotion cannot preserve everything. Orange belongs to the non-climateric group. So we now say, most likely I've not tested it, it's an hypothesis. So it's likely to now be a case of every crop in that group can be preserved with that. I leave that to the younger ones to pick it up for further studies. Some of you will get MSc from there. Some of you will get PhD from there. But we are looking further than that, than also adapting that technology to preserve fish, egg, and meat in the near future. So I move on to the story of that industrialization. As a result of that, you know, if I talk about taboo later. Even till now, we're about maybe mesmerizing our mouth. After some time, I'll be maybe servicing our mouth with good nutrients. Everywhere I've gone to, every party, EBA is always missing. That shows there's still need for more effort. There's still a sign of what psychological rejection with EBA. We may eat it in our closet, but publicly it is not service. That's to the extent, if you project it backward, you will know how much, what I mean by it, it was a taboo by the time we did our, but now, table 9 shows that cassava starch, that's the various processes, that's not where I'm going to move on. Now, improving this industrial usage of major factor, major crop, we normally, because industry are the major consumer of most of this product, in order to produce something. There's a chart where don't have time to show you how many products that industry use starch to do. But because that is an eye-opener, it has when you solve that problem, it has the capacity to now boost production. I show some statistics over there. Now you see table 10 there. Table 10 shows that cassava, as of 2020, has moved on beyond wheat and potato. And now the target, it has potential. Later on, it will beat corn starch. And by projection 2025, it will even outperform wheat and potato. By the grace of God, I believe as a result, I'm a major part by this contribution, breaking that solubility barrier of cassava starch to that production, increase in production of cassava starch. I move on. So figure 11, you will see I gave the trend of cassava starch and product from cassava. And you will see that Gary is the green one there. Then the tuber is less preferred to other crops like, tuber as a raw, that's the production level. And the value, it was the lowest as at before 2003. And by the time we move on, the next graph there showed that 2003, coincidentally, that was the year we ended up that research. Can you see the increase in attention of the world to cassava? And I showed the arrow. That's from 2003. When we finished that work, the thing, boom. And I witnessed it because I was in government. By the time I returned, China, the first thing we saw is China signal Nigerian government that they have interest in cassava of Nigeria. Time will not permit me to give you one secret. Cassava starch, I talk about climate earlier on. Cassava in Nigeria is different from cassava in India. Although they are called cassava. Because when I get that program, the first phase of it, they were watching, I use it. I got their own cassava there. I got their own, they first of all gave me cornstarch, because that's the normal thing industry use. We use it, microorganism. Boom. Then we use cassava starch, no breakthrough. But we were able to use that cassava starch to now standardize how to solubilize it. By the time I came back, I now use Nigerian cassava starch. That's how we got that. So I knew, so climate is speaking in even our food. Probably maize, that you call maize in Nigeria, may not be maize in America, if you look at the quality or nutritional quality. So that was my experience. And if you look at figure 11D, another one shows that 2003, that's enough. I have so many data to show it. How cassava starch now, boom. And from that 2003, interest pick up on cassava starch. The price of cassava starch globally increased. And I move on because of time. Another stage of my level of my contribution was in processing, improving processing for food safety. Now, I move on. Processing is a way of preserving when we don't have storage apparatus. For example, mango, if you pluck mango, maybe 3 days, it may be gone. But when you convert to mango juice, we can make it to 1 year, you see, if you see shelf life. So we normally use processing also to add value to crops, to extend their shelf life in the absence of good and affordable storage technology. After so much of our effort, we were able to now use a locally available dryer and now use it to preserve tomato. That was it. The effort of the federal government, right from President Olusegun Obasanjo up till now, for the consistent effort in diversifying Nigeria agriculture into, from petroleum to to agro-base. And what you can see now is that you now see our cash crop that we have lost before, no time for me to state it, they are now being restored. The value is now increasing. And then not only that, there are emerging cash crops like cassava, shea butter, and yam and cashew nut. For that cashew nut, I want to show you one of my contributions. So then, Nigeria was not exporting it. So I consulted with a company called Nefrade Nigerian Limited in Ilorin. It's owned by late Inspector General of Police, Sunday Adewusi. They came to me and I partnered with them to, in order to produce it. They use vacuum dryer, high-tech machine to process it. But now my own to come in, how do they export it? So by the time I gave them, we consulted with them, that led to the first exportation of Nigeria, commercial exportation of cashew nut in Nigeria. And I assisted them until they get to their 5th exportation. That was to Netherlands. And I appealed to them, please let me go and continue my career. That's, then I was doing my PhD. So that was another contribution. Right now, by 2002, the global amount that America was getting from potato chip is $33.3 billion. We can get there if we focus on it. Compare it to what we are getting from oil. That's from one potato. Imagine how much they are getting. I have not talked of chips, fries cheap. Sorry, the pronunciation. That's where they get huge amount of money. This will be part of my recommendation later. Now, I move on. Now, breast milk. And breast milk, very, very, very powerful weapon. My various classes, I almost always kneel down before my students so that they will not starve our children from this weapon. And no time for me to talk about the benefit. I almost preach when I get to that point. But where I'm heading to is that now, as a result of it, there is a career particularly. It's pushing our mommy, our wives, our ladies from rearing properly our children. That's our future. Then, in order to, pursue money. Now, eventually, that led us to the scientists to come up with what you call instant formula. The Nestle food and so on, Nestle, Cowbell and so on. Now, eventually, there is now a disadvantage in that. After we now proceed, science is now going. Let me just make a little statement about that. There are almost, those things are made from lower animals, Hormones of lower animals are in that milk. And when we now take it in, hormones that is not supposed to be hormones of woman are administered into us. And see the consequence. Where are you? Where you see that is it. So we are now seeing direct attribution of that attitude from it distort our shape. Like the ladies that are supposed to be figure 8, I normally say they turn to figure block. You know, the whole is still looking like 8, but the shape is no longer looking like 8. So thank you. All right. So eventually, that's another one. You see men with women breast-like women. Okay, that's shown over there. And you see the correct woman there, just opposed with that woman that has gone through distorted shape. Now go to the cup that shows plant milk. My effort now, the world of globally, we are now looking for a better milk source from plants in order to bypass that hormones introduced to lower animals. And that led to, I was part of the beginning when I was starting my career, when soya bean came up. Dr. permit me to recognize late Mrs. Iyabo Bello. She was sent to America to go and study them. So I was still working under her. It is that experience I'm using presently to now create my own. And we have been able to succeed to produce 2 kinds of milk from plant matter. One is published, but this particular one is under communication. It's yet to be published. And that is how the milk look like. And by the time we compare our milk with soya bean, it was highly superior than the soya bean that is currently being commercial. That shows the potential that in the near future, that milk will service the world of nutrient. And by God's grace, that one I've done my effort at my own. God will take his own by taking it around the world. Present effort in tiger nut, soya bean have been stated in the book. I will not waste my time for it soon. Now, how do we get it? We use fermentation to modify some plant. My target, I mentioned one plant earlier in the morning, Pomea. So our target, after seeing this value, how do we make sure people are eating it? And having seen the mind of our traditional ruler, now I want to ask you, who started the eating of Efo? Who started the eating of Ewedu? Who started the eating of that? I normally call them in class the Nobel laureates that were supposed to be awarded, but had been gone. So now, we haven't seen the mind that did. I've noticed fermentation is used to as a detoxification agent. And eventually, so I gained that knowledge. I started using it for those underutilized plants. By the grace of God, one plant, Solenostemon monostichus, have been published and accepted and ready to service us as vegetable globally. I know if we don't take it now, the future will take it. And probably my own Nobel laureate will come later. I just pray it will come when I'm alive. Thank you very much. So I love it in Thailand. A company has taken it up. They now saw my paper and they wrote me back. They have now worked on it to now use it to commercially ready yogurt from the same seed called Adenotera pavonina. Now I've been told to round up. So those plants that are ready for vegetables are Chrysophyllum albidum, that's Igbaluma, the seed. It was usually to be a waste. Terminolena catapa seed. It was actually the organism that did that in that. They were now isolated, purified, and sequenced. We have deposited the sequence data in relevant place so that all over the world people can get access. And the next thing I now observe is that that organism has the bioremediating capacity. We can use it to correct soil, we can use it to correct heavy metal, because all our data just occurred to us, the heavy metal there were reduced and it left the nutrient, that organism. So we are working towards cloning that organism. Now, finally, figure 18. As a result of that effort, that was what peak. We have now come up with a new pathway in fermentation that was never existed before. While doing that, there are about 12 new molecules as a result of this effort that was discovered. I hope one of them will service the world as a nutrient. We are still characterizing, trying to look at their potentials. Permit me to now stop there. Okay. This plant, which one of that Solenopenas, we now discover that it has the capacity to now reverse sickle cell blood. By the time we studied sickle cell patients, thanks to Lagos Teaching Hospital that gave us access to them. By the time we finished, we standardized them. The sickle blood in them, all their bloods are not damaged, sickled. The amount of damage that was there was 26.85% that was damaged, that was sickled. By the time we applied this plant there, we were able to reverse that from 26.85 back to 1.90%. And our belief is that if with proper standardization, we are going to get it to a zero level. And now, we now went further to now see, because most of the effort before us was that it was reported that there was physical-chemical modification of the internal body that makes it maybe transient reverse. Now, until we get to molecular level, that's when we can get a permanent solution. My further student, no time for that, I'm just to summarize because my time is over. We were able to now prove that that plant is already modifying genes. And that's a sign of the first permanent solution that will come up in the near future. So let me end up with this. Uterine fibroid. My PhD is there, a student that did that. I always very, very frustrated when the white men are saying this disease because of our gene. This disease because of our gene. Does that mean African gene is inferior? Can't come. I told you my grandpa left 130. If I have inferior gene, it can't be that. So we now felt, my own hypothesis was that it's because of what we are eating, I stated earlier. We now did a study. The PhD student is there. Very wonderful mama. I used to call her Neo Mama. So by the time we did the study, we found out that vitamin A, vitamin D deficiency leads to development of fibroid. That the vitamin A has been proven by other scientists, but the vitamin D was by somebody also has hypothesized but not experimented it. So we experimented it and confirmed it. Beyond that, we now found out there was excess sodium in those women that has fibroid. And our now implication, our conclusion was that it may be due to our abuse of salt intake. You know, some people, if they cook for you, and some people, until you get a bucket of salt before they know that it's salty. So women are used to, I propose to the younger ladies that want to avoid fibroid in the future, control your salt intake. And then also our further effort also reveal what is the nature, because when you bring it out, it looks like a stone. Now, what is the nature of that thing? When you know the nature, you will be able to know how to handle it. For the first time globally, we now discover that the nature is associated with inflammation, particularly the cytokine. And that particular cytokine will link it to interleukin-2. So with that understanding, scientists will have better way of handling fibroid in the near future. So my recommendation, I will not summarize it, they are well deposited in the book. Nigeria should continue that diversification from oil to agro-base. Because of my experience that I fell in 2 countries that I've gone, India and Denmark. Any country that is rich and their economy is based on agriculture, you always see their dollar very wide. They will feed their country and they are satisfied. When they are satisfied, you have it. They said the level of, the quality of food will give you the value of your citizen, intelligent and so on. If you study that table, the nutritional concept I gave, properly go and look at that. I'm trying to gain time. Then you see the benefit as a result as a government. Particularly that it will, when your people eat well, it will reorganize their behavior. And then if I'm a leader, I would prefer a follower that won't throw stones at me, and they will be happy. So government, I'm recommending, please make sure there's food on everybody's table. And most of our solution, violence, crime, everything will gradually vanish away because of that psychological thing. Now, as a young boy in 2007, I noticed the federal government launching SAT-1, SAT-2, SAT-3, trying to launch so that Nigeria will also be part of those who are registered in space. Thank God for that effort. But it did not succeed the first 3 times until the 4th time that we were able to launch. So in that book, you will see that I quantified the amount of money. Russia, at a point, they will move, United Kingdom first, later we'll move to Russia, who later help us to now launch it. Now, imagine that is from one sat, right? We have not talked about aeroplane, warplane, and other things. That's the advantage of technology. If they can make that money from one technology, imagine how much they are making from technology. So after you have fed your people, please, Nigerian government, encourage technological-based research. And you can't do that by starving the research institute and the university of funds. Please release funds because that's where the brains of the society are well deposited. And then you will see the economy of Nigeria going back to maybe 70s when I was growing, when it was $1 to 1 naira. My daddy, I learned that story from him. And so that is it. And now lastly, that's from my own. From the national concept I said earlier, Nigerian government should now deliberately, I saw one sign done by President Tinubu regime, and they were going to secondary school to give food. That's if properly implemented. Now, it should be a now deliberate way of government in order to modify the behavior of the people and make sure that they are properly nourished. The benefit will be very, very, very immense and beyond our acknowledgement. Okay? I will just round up. Please read. I acknowledge God first. I acknowledge the Vice Chancellor, the Chancellor, for providing this Covenant University as a template. Actually, when I went abroad, it was the same 2002 that Covenant University was established. Having saw that research institute, like Bishop, Papa also said it, Bishop Oyedekwe said he went to one conference, he came back crying, what he saw. I heard Baba Adeboye also say he went to one conference, he came back. Oh God, why can't you do this? That was my experience when I went to that research. I saw equipment that are probably just coming in as at now. I've been seeing it 2002. I went back home. Government could no longer sustain me. But thank God for God that used Bishop Oyedekwe to establish this university. And I found out, yes, I have a platform that I can now do a supernatural turnaround to speak to the whole world that there's a young boy that was given birth to in 1971. Also acknowledge my supervisor, well detailed there. That is a father, beyond just academic. He saw me before I became what I am. When I was nothing, he pointed me in his inaugural lecture, this is my future candidate. I didn't know I had any talent, but until I came to academia and I saw the way I was moving, so this man must be a prophet. He saw something in me. So I thank Professor Mrs. Maloma, who supervised my BSc, Professor Tio Pola, who supervised my PGD computer science. That was when I did a programming that was able to predict the shelf life of grains accurately. And I left that place. If not, we will have maybe worked towards commercializing it. Professor Itayo Lambo, a mentor, former regional director, Africa, Asia, the World Health Organization, former Minister of Health. He promised me that I will be there online. I'm sure he's sharing me. I acknowledge him. He always follow me up. And thank God, I'm glad I will be happy that this occasion is taking place. His boy has risen. I appreciate Dr. Venkatesh Prakash. I got that grant, open check, through this man to industrialize that my innovation. And this was usually when it's difficult to believe. Even right now, people see my paper and call. I said, I read your paper, 4 months, orange. Are you sure you are? That means, are you lying? But this man was able to believe it even before proving it. And he nominated me he selected me out of all those who are applying in Africa, that this boy should be selected. I thank God I did not disappoint him. And then I move on to Dr. Joseph Olorokpo, the man who inducted me into research when I was employed into government. One of the words I said, in this place, I came from a business world. I couldn't tell the story where I was making money. When I got to him, he said, in this world, in this our own field, money is not our measure of success. But paper I was looking at is, what do they mean? Money, paper. But thank God, I now became expert in publish. I have published with the best publisher in the world. And I'm looking forward before retiring, I will get one Nature for Africa. My colleague in biochemistry department, time will not permit me to mention your name, but I recognize you. Professor Joe Kolawole Adekunle is now a professor in OAU, but he came to do sabbatical, but that's when we met since then. in the university. Through him, I became born again. He was the one that came and preached. So it's my father, and I'm happy that that line of connection, professor to professor, because the father is a professor, so I caught that and now manifest that professorship. He's watching me online. Now, there are some angels that God gave me when I was in a foreign land. I won't forget them ever. Dr. Nagendra Prakash and Miss Sadia Golafore. Sorry, it's difficult for me. And I also want to appreciate Mr. Adesonya Akonde, Mr. Abiodun Wisdom, who are colleagues in GSK. I didn't submit application to Covenant University. This man, you are unfit for this place. Don't worry, there's also money at academic. So they printed my CV. They are the one that came to drop it here. And I got invitation for interview. And then here am I. Today, I'm a professor of biochemistry. So all my colleagues, classmates, GSS, Government Secondary School in Ilorin, I mentioned some names specifically so that I will know the kind of quality that I went through. For example, GSS alone, we are like 7 to 8 professors, classmates. That's how much we are big. Then in the university, my biochemistry class, we are now 3. There are associate professors that will soon be professor. That's the kind of quality teaching that we went through in the near future. One of my secondary mates watching me right now, acknowledging Yinka Adelodun, who are healthy rivalry. He gave me serious healthy rivalry. He's just retired as Vice President Slumberger Worldwide. That's another example of the kind of quality that we were put through in those days. All my PhD students, they are here. Mrs. Okesola, Dr. Mrs. Oluwato Odutayo, Dr. Mary Okeshola, Mrs. Magdalene Oefion. They are exceptional students that I saw. But let me mention one in particularly, Miss Jennifer Olachi Uchedi. The others are well registered there. Recently, she was recognized among the 100 most inspiring and influential women all over the world by the BBC. I'm happy to mentor quality people. I'm a quality father, and quality children came out of me. Because Miss Selima Akuyebu, Miss Victoria Awogwedin, Mr. Kayode Mustafa, among others. Now, many thanks to our WSF Center, flat 902. Here, that's why I fellowship, and they are like my second family, home away from home. I thank you all if you are here. God bless you. My siblings, Mrs. Funke Abosede Awolabi. She was not able to meet them. She was watching it online. Pastor Theophilus Olumoyiwa Abidemi Afolabi. Please kindly wave to them. Mrs. Olufolake Korede Falaki. She's in Australia, and she's watching it live, I know. Then Mr. Olushola Levi Afolabi, he couldn't make it. He's a big man, managing money of a blue chip company. But I saw the wife of recent. So it's ably represented, okay, by the wife. Thank you very much. The Obaloyes family from Elisha. If you did not give me a good wife, I doubt whether I'll be able to think and become professor. So all the Elisha people, I say I appreciate you for giving me that quality wife. That finally, I especially appreciate my darling wife, Mrs. Taiwo Grace Afolabi from Elisha, the human angel that God brought on my path to facilitate my purpose in life, my missing rib, and everything that I am not, that was added to me through the perfection of marriage in Christ. I am privileged to constantly hear one song, frequently, patient, patient. My parents know me that I'm not the patient type. But through that song, I was remodeled to be somebody that is acceptable to the neighborhood and the world at large. I appreciate you. My children, Esther Yomide Afolabi, she's a Covenant University student in chemical engineering. That's my first child. Ruth Oluwa Semilore Afolabi. Deborah Oluwa Olaoluwa Kitan Afolabi. Iyi Oluwa Samuel Afolabi. And recently, Ife Oluwa Loju Adesina Lydia Afolabi. I thank you for all the love, understanding. When Daddy is chasing you out, I always say I have my library, I call it shrine. You know, those who do shrine, they don't allow their family to get there. They put one woman there and with calabash. My own shrine is book, and you can't enter that place. Thank you for the understanding. The result is what you are seeing today. I love you so much. Thank you very much for listening.
Please, can we rise and acknowledge the inaugural lecturer of today, Professor Israel Afolabi. Keep clapping for him until he takes his seat. Congratulations, sir. Congratulations, sir. Congratulations, sir. Thank you so much. Please don't stop. Keep clapping for him. We may please be seated now. Thank you so much. Because our time is fast spent, please, we should be winding down by now. May I respectfully invite the Vice Chancellor of Covenant University to bring us his closing remarks. Please, can we put our hands together?
Thank you so much. One more time, let's give the 31st inaugural lecturer of today, Professor Israel SUNMOLA Afolabi, a very, very good round of applause. And I'm sure a lot of us have been very much treated to this delicious meal today. It's talking about food nutrients. He has loaded your tummy today. And I'm sure the food will digest very fast. Thank you so much for giving us that wonderful insight into the world of foods. But he brought out quite a lot of recommendations that I'm sure here the press people, everyone here will begin to circulate about diversification of food. That is diversification from the oil to food, and which the government is really driving at. But it's also instructive that we look at the current trend in terms of inflation today. Now, the global inflationary rate as at 2021 has been in one digit from 8.8%. 2022, it came down to about 7% or 6%. Currently, I think it's about 4-point-something% now. But if you look at that, it's not in tandem with what is happening in Nigeria currently. As at December, inflation is put at 28.99% as far as Nigeria inflationary is concerned. Whereas in January, it shot up to 29.92%. And in February, 31%. And currently, maybe about 33.3%. As released by the Nigeria Bureau of Statistics. And for food, it's over 40%. So food, there is high level of food insecurity in Nigeria. And it's high time that government begin to look inward and see how food can be made available to everyone in Nigeria. It's been said that a hungry man is an angry man. Government must ensure that food is available. Food is available. Food is available. Food is available. Because when you are full, what happened? You are not thinking of any violence. You are equally thinking of how to particularly the farmers who will be adding values to the food they are equally producing. But insecurity is also an issue in our land. And that is driving quite a lot of farmers from the farm today. And these are critical issues that our government will need to address. And those critical issues have been timely addressed by this lecture today. One more time, let's give the 31st inaugural lecturer of Covenant University a big, big hand today. And for us in Covenant University, we will keep striving hard to ensuring that we promote research or research efforts that will advance food security. Once again, thank you so much, and God richly bless you.
Please, can we once again put our hands together for the Vice Chancellor of Covenant University, Prof. Abiodun H. Adebayo. At this juncture, it's my honor to invite to the podium the Deputy Vice Chancellor, Professor Olujide Adekeye, to move the vote of thanks for this occasion. Can we put our hands together for him?
Good evening. I want to stand on the already established protocols, even as I move this vote of thanks on the behalf of management, the Senate, the faculty, staff, and students of Covenant University. I respectfully appreciate the Chancellor and Chairman Board of Regents of Covenant University, Bishop David Oyedepo, whose obedience birthed Covenant University. You will agree with me that this lecture has been an impactful and insightful one on this topic, setting the hurdle for glorification, the cross-coded structural pathways to spring up nutrients in food for sustained commonwealth. I want to congratulate Professor Afolabi for a well-delivered 31st inaugural lecture of Covenant University. On behalf of Covenant University, I sincerely thank all the men and women, as mentioned by the lecturer, on whose shoulders he stood to attain this great feat. I thank all of our guests who are here physically, who are watching online, from our Royal Highnesses, our fathers and our mothers, to all members of the university community that is talking about management, ably led by the Vice Chancellor, members of the University Senate, faculty, staff, and students of Covenant. Members of the press present here are also acknowledged. Lastly, I want to thank and appreciate Mrs. Taiwo Grace Afolabi and the wonderful children. I want to equally appreciate and recognize every Afolabi family here present. Thank you, and we want to give God glory for today's, for the success of today's lecture. May I respectfully, on this basis, request that we all put our hands together to give God Almighty thanks for making this day to be. To God alone be all the glory. I wish everyone a safe trip back to your various destinations. Thank you all and good evening.
Thank you so much, sir. Please, can we once again appreciate the Deputy Vice Chancellor of Covenant University. We will take a few announcements before we shut down and convene again for a short cocktail. Please, the cocktail will take place at the Center for Learning Resources. For those that are joining us for the first time, it's opposite this building. You just walk across. That's our university library. We expect at the cocktail the inaugural lecturer and his guests, members of the university management, members of the university senate, and the university guests who are here present. With the permission of the Vice Chancellor, we would like to recognize some persons who have traveled from far and near to grace this very important occasion. Please permit me to begin by recognizing the parents of the inaugural lecturer for today, Deacon Jonathan Bolaji Afolabi, Daddy and Mommy. Then Mrs. Comfort Olajumoke Afolabi. Thank you so much for coming, ma. May God bless you. Thank you, ma and sir. Please, you can be seated. Then I want to recognize the inaugural lecturers. Dear wife, he already did that very copiously. For the avoidance of doubt, Mrs. Taiwo Grace Afolabi. Please, the children can rise up with their mom. All the children, please rise up. All the children, please rise up. Congratulations, congratulations. Please put your hands together for them. Please, you may be seated now. I won't fail to recognize His Royal Majesties who have also taken time, despite their very busy schedules, to be here today. His Royal Majesty, Oba Dr. Moses Babatunde Etobi. Forgive me, His Majesty. Please, can you rise, sir? Can we give him a round of applause? Thank you, sir. His Royal Highness, Commodore Retired Theophilus Ilemore. I hope I'm correct. Please, can you rise for recognition, sir? Thank you so much, sir. Dr. Akonle Toyin Williams, Fellow National Institute for Industrial Security. Please, if he's here, can he rise? Thank you so much, sir. Thank you for coming. And Honorable Adeshola Joshua, if he's here, please rise for. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you for your time. There are many of you on our list. We recognize everyone, but let me just mention a few more names for the avoidance of doubt. Professor John Kayode, Nigerian Army University. You are welcome, sir. Mr. Oladosun S.A. Mr. Oladosun S.A., you are welcome, sir. Deacon Jonathan Afolabi. Oh, I've mentioned that. Thank you so much, sir. Mrs. Akinyemi Titilayo. Is she here? All right. Thank you so much. Thank you for coming. And many others, please. And many others. Please put your hands together for yourselves. We cannot mention all the names so that we can leave here right on time. Thank you for coming. May I, at this juncture, please, kindly request us to rise as I invite the chaplain of Covenant University to bring us the closing prayer for this 31st inaugural lecture of Covenant University. Immediately after the closing prayer, please, the band will be on standby to lead us in the Covenant University anthem only. Then we shall proceed in reverse order. Thank you so much for your time. God bless you.
Praise the Lord. Shall we please bow our heads as we pray, giving glory to God Almighty for how far He has helped us. Our Father, we thank you. Thank you for the success of this 31st inaugural lecture. Thank you for your good hand upon the lecturer. Thank you for the family. Thank you for everyone that has been a part of this event. We ask that you take all the glory in the name of Jesus. And as we return back to our various locations, your presence go with us. Each one arrives safely in the name of Jesus Christ. And for everything you have done for us today, again, we say thank you. To you be glory and praise forever. In Jesus' precious name, we have prayed.
Thank you so much. See you, band. Please, I'll kindly request all of us to remain standing in the auditorium as the procession goes in reverse order. Congratulations to Covenant University. See you, band, please. The reverse procession is being led by the Vice Chancellor of Covenant University, Professor Abiodun H. Adebayo. Following him closely is the Deputy Vice Chancellor, Professor Olujide Adekeye, the Registrar of Covenant University, Mrs. Regina Toby David, the Chaplain, the Inaugural Lecturer, Professor Afolabi, Directors of our units, eminent professors, Dean of the College of Science and Technology, Dean of the College of Management and Social Sciences, Dean of the College of Leadership and Development Studies, then Dean of the College of Engineering. We have our eminent professors filing out behind them, professors who have been well decorated in the university. Congratulations to Covenant University. Behind those eminent professors are the distinguished heads of departments of our various departments here at Covenant University. Congratulations to Covenant University. Behind them will be the acting heads of departments of our various departments, directors of other units. Congratulations, congratulations, congratulations to Covenant University. I'll request His Highnesses to please file out behind them. His Highnesses, the parents of the inaugural lecturer. After the parents, the dear wife and the children, as well as all his guests who have come to honor the invitation today. Congratulations, Ma and Sir. May God bless you all. Thank you for honoring Covenant University with your presence, and may God guide you on your way back. The guests of Covenant University can follow after them. Please remember, Center for Learning Resources is opposite this building for the cocktail. Congratulations, Covenant University. The faculty and staff members who are here present, please, you can exit the room now. Thank you so much to our distinguished faculty and staff who have also taken out time to be here today. Our students, please remain standing until the CU band shuts down. Congratulations. God bless you. Can we put our hands together for Covenant University Band, please? Please appreciate them. Appreciate them. Thank you so much, CU Band. May God bless you. Our students, please, you can be seated right now, and you can go about your other businesses for today. Thank you for your time. God bless you.